All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is Friday, and I hope that everyone has had an amazing week because it has been some crazy energy going on up there and consequently down here because when we are activated, when different gates are activated, they create a different flavor for the week. And so I tuned in on Monday to talk about the past transit that we just experienced. And yesterday, July 18th, we entered into a new transit, which is like crazy work because like I was just doing this on Monday. So without any delay, I want to just hop right in and get you the information that you need so that you can be equipped with the knowledge to adapt to this particular flavor of the week. So right now we lost the 16 activation in the throat, which I've talked about for the past 2 or 3 weeks, which gave us that channel of the design for talents and skills. So it was really a time to really just like be in your bag and just show up, fully as you, all of your talents, all of your skills. And so now we are moving into a new sun and earth. And so right now the sun is activating gate 56, which is the gate of stimulation. And then the earth, the conscious earth, which is like that balancing of the sun, is the gate of acceptance of limitation. And so right now it's a time of losing or at least revising one's ideas. It's a time of wondering, wandering with an A, and searching in solitude. So you can succeed if you adapt and, kind of perceive like what your challenges are going to be. And you're just able to be really resilient in that way. So if you want to act spontaneously and take risks, be prepared to fail, because this is a time where, because there's so much of this energy, it can be easy to fall prey to moving too quickly. So this transit teaches you to accept and set boundaries for yourself, whether you have long wanted to go on a diet, clean up, or give up something unhealthy. Now is the time. Limit your desires, be reasonable in expressing your emotions, and observe. You can create and change the rules. Please keep in mind that if you are having difficulty fitting into the general flow of things and staying in the system at this time, you have taken a wrong turn somewhere. So always remember, when that happens, just kind of return to self, organize your thoughts and things, and stick to your decisions. So I'm going to get into the specific gates right now. So let's start with our conscious sun, which is gate 56. And so I always like to show you before I dive in where that is being activated. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. All right, so that's me on a normal basis. We're going to go to the transit only. So as you can see, the conscious earth is 60 right here. And so the 56 is in our throat. So one of the things that I'm really excited about, just real quick, is as a reminder, the transits are in green, and then what's already activated in me is in blue. So I'm really excited with this transit because I'm actually having a few channels completed right now. I'm having the 1034. I normally have the 34 and 10's being activated right now. And then I normally have the 36 and the 35 is being activated right now. So I'm really curious how that energy is going to play out for me, because the 35, 36 is the transit of like the jack of all trades. So I'm curious to see how that's going to show up for me. Am I going to be more artistic? Am I going to be more creative? But again, we're starting with the 56. So when it comes to gate 56, we are talking about the gate of the wanderer, the gate of stimulation. And so this, I didn't even realize this because the transit happened after, and I looked at it after I had already been doing a couple of podcast interviews. And so if you have this activated in your chart, You are a natural storyteller who uses your own past experiences in order to illustrate concepts and stimulate the minds of others. What you teach us about life will include unique lessons that come from your interpretation of your experience, helping humanity understand its experience on the planet. Your challenge is to learn to share empowering stories and inspiration with the right people at the right time. And this showed up beautifully yesterday in one of my interviews, because she was asking me questions and like something in my brain, right, unconsciously, because it's being activated by the sun. Something in me was like, I really want to make sure that I hit this point home. So let me give a story so that I can make this more relatable. And it was an awesome conversation. And then to see that Gate 56 is activated right now, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So oftentimes when we have a gate activated in us, it shows up in different vibrations. So at the highest level, you're everything that I just said. The natural storyteller, you know exactly when and where to utilize this gift and these skills. But if you're not sure that this is happening, sometimes that can cause you to have this show up in the repressive or the reactive form. And so in the repressive form, you're understimulated, you're uninspired, and you lose sight of your own aspirations. So you kind of become trapped in the mundane almost. And in the reactive shadow expression, you're overstimulated and you display a constant need to maintain movement, from reading to watching TV to fantasizing. And you're just kind of addicted to external stimulation and you are avoiding looking internally. So this is super important because, like I said at the beginning, this is a time for you to really reassess what is happening for you right now. And to, if you're trying to give up something, like, this is a great time to do that because you're allowed to set new boundaries right now. So in order to set new boundaries, you have to go inward, and you can't do that if you're focused on the external. So it'll be really curious to see how this shows up for the people in my life, especially Taylor, because Taylor normally, it normally shows up in the reactive for her. So here are some questions that can help you adapt to this flavor of what we're experiencing. So, what stories do I share repeatedly with others? Do they lift people up, or do they cause them to kind of contract, like, why'd you tell me that? So that's one question. Another question for you would be, what stories do I tell about myself and my voice that cause me to either expand or contract? So the first question is, what stories do I repeatedly share with others that cause them to have a reaction? And then what stories are you personally telling that cause you to either expand or contract? And then the last question is it'll help with that internal reflection that I was talking about. So what am I here to inspire others to do or be? And I hate this phrase, but like, shameless plug, but also shameless plug. If you don't know, or you're not sure, or you're not clear on what you're here to inspire others to do or be, I highly encourage you to head to my website, diamonddripconsulting.com, and pull your chart. If you haven't pulled your chart in a while, or you haven't pulled your chart at all, this can be some very crucial information that will help you understand how you're here to inspire others. And not only that, I was playing around with the actual tool itself. And so now when you pull your chart, there are two options at the bottom for you to, there's a free ebook, which is personalized based on the chart that you pulled for some things. It's like 3 sections of things that are recommendations for your exact energy for what can keep you healthy. So like, how do you sleep best? What's another one that's in there? best ways to manage stress, like whether it's internal or external, things like that. And then if you want to dive even deeper, I'm so happy to announce that there's now a button for you to actually buy a report. And that one is more in the language of quantum human design, which makes it more practical. So those are new things, if you have not pulled your chart, that you can look into. And so as we go to what is being activated, let me go ahead and share my screen again. As we go to what is being activated in the sun, you'll see, and I'll get rid of me so that you can see the transits clearly. But what is being activated by our unconscious Earth is gate 60. And as you can see, it's also being activated by Pluto. So, pardon me, lives. So yeah, that's where it is. And so you can see that it's in the root. So we've got some activations in our throat, so causing us to really feel that call to speak more, to, like I said, share stories more. And then we have, the gate 60 being activated in our root, which is in fact a pressure center. So let me go ahead and stop my share there. And so the gate 60 is the gate of acceptance, of limitation. And so if you normally have this gate, which I do, so I'm fairly familiar with this balancing energy, if you will. But if you normally have this gate activated, you have the potential to bring impactful changes to the world. You experience pressure to bring something new into the world, and also understand that there's an element of timing that's important to accept. So this is where that limitations piece comes in. So your challenge is to not let fear of loss cause you to become fixated on what you cannot achieve. You do this by shifting your focus towards what is actually working instead of what may not. Here's that gate 56. So my birthday was July 11th. And so I went away. I rented an Airbnb, technically two, but the first one, that's a story for a different time. So the second Airbnb that we went to was perfect. And one of the things that I started to realize while I was away was this is what I want. This peace that I feel, important piece. I unplugged for my birthday. I actually unplugged for my birthday, and then 2 or 3 days after it. I really didn't start coming back online. No, because text messages count as online, perhaps. I started answering text messages on Sunday, and then Monday was when I, started coming back online to social media. And then anyway, so that unplug was super important for me. It allowed me to connect with myself and gain clarity on really what I wanted. It allowed me to connect with my family. It allowed me to connect with nature and to connect with my higher self in ways that I really, I guess, couldn't hear. I had to go away. I had to unplug in order for me to connect with these pieces of myself, because here there's too much stimulation, I guess. And so in that time, actually coming back from that unplugged time, I was I want more of what I just experienced. I want more time to study the things that I want to study. I want more time to read the things that I want to read. I want this peace to continue. I don't want to have to go away in order for me to get the peace that my soul is apparently craving. And so when I came back, did I have a meeting with David on that Monday? I believe so. I think we already had a meeting scheduled. We have another meeting today, because in coming back online, I realized other things that took away from that peace, from that joy, that fulfilling feeling that I felt when I was unplugged. And so I started to really think about the things that were preventing me from having that peace. And it made it clear to me that I needed to do some inventory. What are the things that are keeping me from this peace? And can they be delegated? Or can they be deleted because they're just not necessary? Or can they be maybe put in a box for another time for me to check in with my sacral to see whether or not I have the energy to sustain it or not? So when we look at this gate 60, and we know that the challenge is to not let the fear of loss cause you to become fixated on what you cannot achieve. You do this by shifting your focus towards what's actually working instead of what may not. This energy was so strong in me this week, even today, as I am about to prepare for a meeting with my assistant at 11. So I'm starting to see what's actually working and what's not. And so as I continue down this path of like setting boundaries and figuring out these things, like it's becoming super clear what I need to let go of. And so, as I mentioned, we have the gift expression, which is like the highest expression of this gate. And then we have the shadow expression, so the lower level expressions of this. So the gift expression, again, is the potential to bring impactful and innovative changes to the world. It's the pressure, because again, I said the root center is a pressure center. So it's the pressure to bring something new and create transformation through this kind of unpredictable pulse. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. And so when the pulse energy is off, it's important to focus on creative endeavors and structures that benefit them for when the pulse is turned on. So this is 100% showing up for me right now because I'm in a course, it's called Soul Realignment, and it's guiding me and teaching me on how to learn a modality to access the Akashic records, because that's another tool that I want to add into my little spiritual growth self-mastery toolkit. And so this is like, even with something as simple as that, it's like, okay, I need the time to actually go through the coursework and then actually apply the coursework to my practice clients. I can't do that if I am uploading podcasts to Opus Clips and then cutting them up myself and then scheduling it into the scheduler. I can't do that if I am bogged down by all of the emails that I am getting, because my assistant is doing an amazing job of applying for podcast opportunities and speaking opportunities. I can't do that if I can't do what is going to take me to my next level of mastery if I'm bogged down by these things that they do matter, but I don't have to necessarily do them. So a little bit like that. And so when we look at the shadow expression of this gate 60, I want you to consider how this is starting to show up for you. So in the repressive, it's a denial of limitations, causing them to feel stuck. They fear structure and commitment, which stop them from building necessary structures. Examples can be family, career, sense of direction, etc., to evolve in life. And so in the reactive form, it's an over-reliance on form and structure in their life. They become extremely rigid and controlling, and they struggle with maintaining relationships because of this. So some questions that I would like to invite you to consider as you process the energy of this transit that we have entered into yesterday. I want to invite you to consider, what change or limitations am I resisting or denying? And I want you to really get deep with this one and ask yourself, what am I afraid of? The next question is, what are the things in my life that are working that I need to focus on? Oh my, I love so much that this is already showing up for me without even having gone through these questions. With the intention of like, I was looking at them. The next question is my fear of loss holding me back? Again, gate 56 is showing up for me. One of the things that I did year and a half ago, 2 years ago, was I created a course that walked people step by step through the technical pieces. It's all in video format of starting a business. So I talk about like QuickBooks. I talk about how to make your own logo in 3 different platforms. Like it's a very extensive course. And so that was my first instance of running Google ads for something that I was offering. And the Google ad worked because my list grew. I can't tell you what number right now, but my list grew. And as I've shifted and evolved and grown in my own business, I recognize now that the people who signed up to be on my list for that course may not be the people who are interested in what I'm talking about now in terms of being aligned and then being in business. Many of them probably still have a lot of ideas, and they just believe that the clarity is going to come through starting the business, not through working on themselves. And so I now have to answer this question: is my fear of loss holding me back? Because what happens is when I send out an email to my list, the people who are joining now, they're going to open the email. They're going to engage with the buttons. They're going to actually be engaged in what I'm talking about. But the people who signed up when I was running the ads for that course, they're probably not. And that's going to hold me back. That's going to hurt my business because metrics, like it's going to show that people aren't opening my emails, which gets you put into like the promotion box or even the spam box sometimes. So now I have to, well, I kind of already made the decision. I just have to go through the process of doing it. But I have to remove those people from my list because it's going to hold me back ultimately at the end of the day, because it's going to hurt my metrics. Even though I paid a significant amount of money to get those leads, I have to let go of what could possibly be holding me back. And then the last question is, how can I cultivate more patience when I'm in the off part of my pulse? This is something that I am still working on, because we all know it's a journey. And so for me, I am starting to understand some of the things that I can do when that pulse is off, because I remember times when I was unaligned, when I didn't know about my design. This is the last plug for that. If you don't know your human design, go ahead and go to my website, diamonddripconsulting.com, and pull your chart. Now I'm going to get rid of this ticker. But when I was unaligned, I knew that I had the work ethic to do whatever it was. I knew that now I know that that's living in the shadows, because I didn't have the willpower, but I was willing myself into those things because I thought that was what I should be doing. I should always be on. And so when I would have these days or weeks where I was off in this pulse, I would be really hard on myself. I would try and force myself to find random things on old to-do lists to do, just so and this is the unaligned brains, just so that I would feel productive again, because why don't I have the same energy that I did a week ago? And so when we think about this question, how can I cultivate more patience when I'm in the off part of my pulse? I really want you to sit with that and see how you can, be okay. Give yourself permission to be in the off pulse, especially if you have this activated outside of the transit. So those are the 2 gates that are being activated right now. The 56 is in the sun, the 60 is in the conscious earth. And so really balancing this energy of stimulation with limitation is going to be something that we're going to be experiencing. Started yesterday, and it's going to be continuing until the 23rd. So be aware. Reflect on those questions. And I believe the blog is launching today. So if you want those questions written down so that you can copy and paste them into a note, I believe the blog will be launching today, definitely before 2. I'm going to try and get that done before 2, because I want this video to be associated with that blog post. But again, if you don't know the website, diamonddripconsulting.com. And it should be like /blog or something like that. That's all for today. And I am wishing you an absolutely amazing Freedom Friday and weekend as we deal with the energy that is being activated by the transits right now. And yeah, I think that's it for today. So thank you for tuning in. Until the next transit update, my lovelies.